you know that as it's a book of skills, of life skills, right? Of wisdom, right? And so we are going to continue on that same subject matter, but I'm going to let Pastor keep carving through Proverbs. We're going to actually go to Galatians chapter 5. Let me know when y'all got it. Just shout back at me. It's fine. Y'all good?
Good.
All right. So before we start reading there, what is it as Christians? What is the battle? What are the two elements that we battle with on a daily basis?
Good and bad decisions.
Good and bad decisions. The flesh and the spirit. Boom, right there. That's exactly it. The flesh and the spirit. Right. As I'm gonna tie back into Proverbs. Essentially, that is what Proverbs is talking about throughout the entirety of the book. Battling with our flesh and our spirit. Here in Galatians, Paul, right? He is writing to this is actually the only book of Paul's where he writes to an entire group of people. Everything Colossians and all the other books that he wrote, he's targeting a specific church, right? But in this book, he's writing the entire group of people, the entire group of Christians in a whole area. Imagine writing every Christian in the United States and say, look, this is what, as Christians, we should be acting, right? So he talks about a lot of things here in Galatians. The people are big. So imagine there are Christianity is new throughout the region, right? It's everyone. People are hopping on to it. People are converting. Yet there are still Jews that are now becoming Christians. But since they have been Jewish their whole life, they understand the law real well, right? So everything that I'm talking about, all the laws that we still hold we hold true to a lot of them. But Paul is coming to tell us that the laws are important, but Jesus is more important than the law.
Amen.
Right? Amen. So he talks about, but as a Christian, you will have to allow the Spirit to overcome the natural things of our flesh, right? The things that naturally that look it feel good to us, so, but it ain't always good for us.
That's right.
So we're gonna start right at verse 18, right? If you read with me, it said, but if, read chapter 5, did I say that? Yeah. Okay, right. Verse 18, it says, but if ye be led by the Spirit, ye are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest in thee. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanliness, lasciviousness. Say the word for me.
You said it.
There it is, right here. Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulation, wrath, strife, sedition, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have told you in the past, that they which do these things shall not inherit the kingdom of God. So let's stop right there real quick, right? So Paul, he hits people with specifics, right? Ain't no questions about whether it is that what I'm doing is right or wrong. He understands the natural thing in people's mindset, right? Naturally, I can almost validate anything I do, right? Naturally, in my house, right? Me and my wife, we can have completely different sides of the spectrum of ideas, but naturally, I can almost validate anything I do, even if they're wrong. Even if they're wrong, I can almost validate anything I do. So what Paul does, he says, I understand that naturally, it's easy for us to try to validate what it is that things that we want to do, just because they make us feel good.
Right.
So he said, let me hit you with a few specifics, right? So you ain't no questions about it, right? So right off the bat, right? He hits us with things of sexual nature, right? He punches us with it right at the beginning, right? Understand in this particular time, right? So in this particular time frame of the world, the Galatian people are beginning to be a part. They're Greek, right? They're Greek, but they're beginning. The Roman Empire is stretching, right? So the Roman Empire, as we learned in school, anything sexual, they was down with it. Orgies. That the word orgy comes from the Greek language, right? The word doesn't even change. Like, so they invented. I don't want to say invented, because I'm pretty sure they were doing it before. But they put a stamp of approval on the things that was normal in their society, right? So Paul is out the gate letting us be known that, hey, the things that we have been accustomed to, we can't do. So let's go ahead and start them off. Anything sexual, right? What Jesus said, as the man has thinking already, he has already did the sin, right? So even things where it is that you think the sin. I know today, right? For instance, I can hear someone say, well, if I watch porn, I'm not really having sex. So is it a sin? Yeah. Yeah, it's a sin because your mind has thought about the act that's going on, right? So he lays it out. He says that where you go, right? Adultery, fornication, uncleanness, all of those things, say the word. Lasciviousness. Right, there it is, right? All things of sexual nature, right?
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
What is the word?
Lascivious is the thought of sex.
Oh, that's the
right. The desire, right? Desire of lustful thoughts.
Okay.
Right? Not desire of lustful thoughts, the desire to have sex, right? Lustful thoughts, essentially. Yeah. So Paul he lets it be known that right off the bat that naturally our flesh desires.
Wait, I got that. When it says the uncleanness, what are they?
So uncleanness. So the act of doing things of sexual nature, right?
This is all about sex.
Yeah. So the first ones that he hit you with are all about sex, all about
thoughts and all of that.
Thoughts, the act of it, all of it, right? And so he lets it be known that these thoughts outside of marriage, right? Wrong. And because you got to think about it, during the time frame within the Roman and Greek civilizations, having sex with just anybody was normal. It had become a norm. The idea of marriage in our sense of the word was not a thing. Not a thing. Multiple wives, that was common, right? Multiple, but the thing that we look at that how it is that they began to look at their society and the things that they were doing in a sexual manner, right, completely went against what they had called holiness, what we call holiness in our world. And so if we are being led by the Spirit, those things that of sexual desires those sexual nature things, those all those other list of things you're about to say, they have to fall by the wayside. They have to fall by the wayside.
So the thought, any thought outside of marriage of any sexual desire, anything like that is
The sin. Yeah, it's a sin. It's
I got one.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say no names. If a girl, say somebody comes over, chit chat and stay over a couple nights.
Yeah, don't say her name.
Then first calls the person I know, say, oh, I'm married and all that. Is that adultery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I ain't calling no names.
Yeah, I'm about to say anything outside. And that's what it is. That I mean, let's be real in our society, right?
Amen.
Our society is. Let's think about tactical, because I'm in the Navy, right? So everything I think about is, okay, they had a plan before they got to this point, right? So first thing they did was reduce the importance of marriage, right? They say, I'm gonna reduce the importance of marriage. If I can make marriage seem not so important, right? Then I can have its way as a little bit. So after they went from not making marriage so important, right? They said, okay, if marriage is not so important, that means I can marry whomever I want to, right? I mean, I can marry another guy, girl can marry, I can marry 4 people at the same time, right? Whatever, right? Then went from that, making marriage where it is that I can be able to marry whom I want, to make marriage say, well, I ain't got to get married. I can do what I want, right? It was like tactically, Satan was like, all right, if I can chip at this a little bit at a time, and eventually they won't. If I do it so small and little increments, they won't even notice it till it's gone. That is
A little bit at a time.
Coming from the military, we do that all the time, right? I'm gonna just send about 4 sailors over here at one time, right? But then I'm gonna come back 2 weeks later, send about 30. By the time about 6 months down the line, they ain't even gonna know I got 10,000 over there. And we do. That's how we do every department. We send one little ship at a time. A month or so later, we'll send another ship. And so we do it so small that when they turn around, they got a whole fleet of ships out there, sitting off the coast of Iran. They wondering how we got there so fast. We ain't get that fast. We just did it over a course of 10 months. Right? That's how the enemy does the same thing. The enemy will Satan. He does things incrementally, so therefore it seems as you won't notice the change as it happens. And so therefore, when it actually happens, you are used to the change. You are used to the change.
It's a good word, bro.
So right off the bat, he hits us with sexual things at nature, right? Secondly, he goes. Secondly, he says idolatry and witchcraft. These are what we call religious sins. Religious sins, right? Doing things outside of Christ, right? If you look, so the people of Galatians, right? The people within in that area of the world, right? They were people from all over, right? All over. Their descendants go all the way back to Gaul, which is modern day France. So at that time, those people there, they were pagans, right? So they believed in many gods, right? Many gods. So once again, same situation, that you would get people in power, right, that will like slide their pagan belief and try to put it into Christianity, right? And so Paul, being absolutely disgusted with this, right, he calls it out. He calls it out. So he says that anything witchcraft-wise, dealing with idols of any other nature, right, allowing anything to be before God, that's sin. Right? That's sin. Then he says, hatred, jealousy, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envies, murders. These are what we call people sins. Right? They are sins against one another. How is it that I feel like these particular sins, right, is why so many people don't like going to church? Because the people in church are often the ones that do a lot of this stuff. And let's think about it, right? If I'm especially being in the younger generation, right? In the younger generation, doesn't even matter. People in general, right? People in general. Why would I go to a place that I know is filled with the same crap that I'm dealing with outside? Well, I might as well stay out here.
Out in the world.
Right? Ain't no need for me to go somewhere where they doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. If deep down, people are looking for something different, right? We want to, whether people want to admit it or not, they are looking for God. Right? People, even the people that say I don't believe in God, deep down, these jokers is looking for God.
Amen.
Because the people that say they don't believe in God, they do everything in their power to try to disbelieve God is real. So therefore, they looking for all types of evidence. Same thing as us. Right? As us, we as Christians, we go through life but striving and trying to reach God. That's all our Christian life is. Because we know the world will have people believe that when we become Christians, we are sinners. That's the biggest that within itself is the biggest lie to the world. Because now when they come into the church, they want to say that we're hypocrites because we say that we shouldn't do this, we shouldn't do that, but then some of us still do this and do that. But then they was like, well, but you supposed to be a Christian. You supposed to not be sinful. No. Me being a Christian means I'm on a walk to godliness, which I'm never going to achieve here. I'm never going to get to that point where I'm sinless. That's why Jesus came, so I can be able to get to the place where I am sinless. Right? These people sins, right? These are the biggest things that keep people away from coming to church. If it is that, let's think about it on a daily basis. How many of us do one of these people sins? Let's be real. I yell at somebody today. I'm a sailor. I yell at people all the time. Right? but I'm like, man, I should talk to them regularly.
Forgiveness. Forgive me, Lord.
God forgive me, Lord.
Yeah.
But if they didn't have to do what I said do.
Right. I wouldn't have had to do it.
I wouldn't have had to. See? Right? That's the spirit now that comes back and says, you know you should have done that. You know you should have done that.
Let me ask you a question.
Validate.
Let's be validated.
Quick.
We're talking about people sins. Me and my girlfriend had this debate the other day. Now, I do this, and I don't know if a lot of other people do this. You burn sage in your house, open up your windows, open up your doors, saying for to clean your house of negative energy, evil spirits, so forth and so on. Me and my girlfriend was having a debate stating that me burning sage and doing all that is witchcraft.
I can't not say that that's witchcraft because that's still practiced in a lot of church, right? But I know that burning sage predates Christianity. So I had that same question, and which I just been tied up in too much anything that I even go look it up. But I don't know if that's because they burn when you go to a Catholic church, right?
Frankincense and myrrh.
Frankincense and myrrh, right? That's sage, right? That they burn. So I don't know. I don't think that's to pray. To anoint your house is what you're doing, right? To anoint your house, which I'm gonna say that's Christianity. That's 100% because God tells us as I am the priest over my household. So therefore, it's my responsibility to
To
pray
bless it.
over my house, to anoint my house. When they wake up with oil on their head and then in the middle of the night, they know I've anointed them while they were asleep. Right? I do that because that's my covering over my house. Right? When it is that, and then so I don't know where that comes from because I grew up with that same thing. Look, open the windows and start praying. And
Move
cast
it to a
everything
new
out the
house. Yeah,
right?
you get it out, clean it up.
But to me, that implies that if the demon came in through the window.
Nah, he don't. yeah.
I feel like that joker just came in.
Yes.
Right? But I'm saying,
They
they don't got no need for doors. You don't see
Come
doors
on.
open or rest. So that's so. But like I know exactly what you're talking about because I grew up with that. Right? So, but I feel like the same thing is being done though if I start praying regardless whether I open up the windows or not. If I plead the blood of Jesus over my house, everything gotta go in my house.
That's right. That
Whether I
power.
open up the windows or not. But yeah, I wouldn't go there. Me personally.
I mean, I just found something on the internet about it. If you want me to read it, it's kind of interesting.
What?
Not
What's it
Wikipedia.
Huh?
Not Wikipedia.
No, I just Google. There is nothing inherently wrong with burning incense or using herbs to beautify the fragrance of one's home, but it is not what smudging is about. I'm not really sure what smudging means. There is no biblical basis for belief in smudge sticks, auras, vibes, or household energy. The Bible tells us that God protects his children from evil. 2 Thessalonians 3:3. We have no need to smudge. In fact, smudging is sin. And I still don't know what smudging means. I have to look that up later.
Yes.
We do not trust in pagan rituals, but in God our Savior. God is the source of life, of all that is good and true. God promises the Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going both now and forevermore. Psalms 121.
That goes
He will
back to
provide
saying
the
where
strength and peace we need to make it through any test. The devil cannot be made to flee. With smoldering sage, our reference is in the Lord alone. God protects us with powerful tools to fend off enemies' spiritual attacks.
Yeah. So that once again that goes back to saying where it was that all that burning of sage and that predates Christianity, right? That was things that they were doing to try to do the same thing. But when Jesus came, we don't got no need for that.
Yeah.
Because there's power in Jesus. So I don't need to burn nothing. I'm just gonna call on Jesus and tell him and then command everything to leave out of my house. God has given us life and death and the power of tongue. So he has given us the authority to call things out.
Right.
I had a question about one of these sins that it says in here, idolatry. Specifically, it's like praising people. Is that sin? Like,
so ideology specifically, right?
Specifically, like praising people.
Well, not just people, right? It's putting anything
Before.
So if money is more important than God, ideology, right?
You wife,
You
girl.
look like an athlete. If sports is more important than God, right? Anything that we put before God is ideology. Now, given within the particular time and place, they would literally have idols, right? They had things that somebody would make, and they would say, "This gold idol,
Golden
is
calf.
the one that's blessing me every day," right? So, so literally, that's where that word is coming from. But ideology is putting anything before God, anything before God, and so that's so. But the like we were going back with the people sins. The people sins. That is what deterred the most people from church. That is what. If you look in today's world, so I was reading reading an article from Oxford University. So Christianity, as of 2015, right, is no longer the fastest growing religion in the world. No longer, right? Matter of fact, not even number 2. Right? Not even number 2. Right? The fastest growing religion in the world, Islam. Fastest growing religion in the world. Second growing, no religion. Belief there is no God. Second is the fastest growing religion, then Christianity. Right? Why? How is it that we have fallen so much as Christians in the world? Right? Yes, ma'am.
I think it's why, because we don't follow Christ. And it's the same thing with the other forms of religions that you spoke about. Because Jesus came for a purpose.
Yes,
and most people don't recognize the purpose why he came, who he is, and what he did. And to be baptized in Jesus Christ, it brings a spiritual change within you.
100%. Spiritual change.
We are in the flesh and the spirit. Jesus said, follow me. You can't follow two gods.
Absolutely.
The God of this world, nor the God of the spirit world. You'll love one and you'll hate the other.
Yep.
So you have to make a choice of who you're going to follow.
Absolutely.
Otherwise than that, it was no purpose of Jesus coming.
Yep.
And many of these churches will be destroyed
100%.
because they are the church of the world. And this world belongs to Satan.
Yeah.
And you have to get deeper into the scripture of seeking it for yourself.
Oh yeah.
Because he said, if you seek me, you will find me.
Yes.
And it's believing in the Holy Word.
Oh yeah. And that's key, right? You said one thing, right? That knowing the word, right? You don't have to memorize the Bible, but understanding the concepts of the Bible is what is most important that I believe. Understanding that Jesus, which it goes on to tell that in the next verse, right? All right. What Jesus the most important thing that Jesus taught us as Christians that we should do. Love. Right? Love. Which we go as we go past the people as we get past what Paul identifies as the sins of the world, right? We're gonna go to where that Jesus, his main thing that Jesus taught, right, was love. Was love, and that is what is let's think about this. Right? You know how I said the world was that Satan is tactical. Satan has a plan, has a plan with what he's doing, right? He is slowly taking things that are of God and trying to make them seem like they come from the world.
Right.
What is the, all right, so let's look at this, right? The LBJTQ, that community, right? That one, right? That community stands on a principle of love. Love. Right? Saying that my sin is fine because I'm loving. Right? They have literally adopted the symbol of Christianity, which is love, and put it on their label. You know how I even know it, right? They took the rainbow, right, and made it theirs. When we know that rainbow is God's promise to us, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is. That is all Satan is doing. He is taking things that we know to be of God and trying to make them of the world. And he. Let me tell you, I'm gonna be a player, recognized player. He doing it real smooth. He doing it smooth. Like people not noticing this, unless we tell them. They don't know where it came from. And look, and that's the thing. We ain't telling. We won't. We so afraid. Though the church has become afraid of the world.
The word there.
I wouldn't say that. It's more so you don't want to be labeled homophobic or You know, you don't want that title or that.
But if I'm not afraid of if I'm not afraid of you,
Stand
why do
on
I
it.
care what you call me?
Stand on it.
But when you're dealing with people in the workplace and, you know, people, you know, in businesses and school and, you know, interacting with other people, you can't really be labeled homophobic, so to a certain extent.
See, that's the world though, labeling homophobic. If I call out your sin, right, don't mean I don't love you.
Just
I
calling it
discipline
out.
my son all the time, but I love him more than anything on the planet. All right. If me showing, if me telling you that you're doing something wrong is your opinion that I'm not loving you, that's a personal thing. But I know that I'm loving you.
Right, that's why you're doing it.
I think a lot of times it's not that you don't want to say anything. Do we really know what to say? Do we really go home and study from Bibles? I can speak for myself. I listen to the pastor every Wednesday, and every Wednesday I say, I'm going to go home and I'm going to read that. It's not to the next one. I'm like, God dang it. So you don't really know, you don't have no information to battle with. So you just sit there and look like, yeah, I go to church, but
You said I like your verbology that you just said. You don't have the right information to battle with.
You can't tell them what you don't know.
Exactly. How can we go to battle if we ain't equipped for battle?
Right.
That's what we gotta study.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, I feel like a lot of one of the biggest reasons I think that people are like switching to Islam and stuff like that is because they may seem more like I don't know what it's called.
Put together.
These jokers are equipped.
They
know.
They're this more
Discipline.
They seem more disciplined.
100%.
It seems like. Stuff
Pastor
like that.
said, Pastor, he said it all the time. He said Christians are the most laziest religious people in the world. That's look. Think about it. Think about it. But I even like to break it down within the church, right? In black churches, in our community, right, we learn the Bible through life. We have to go through things that make us reach for the Bible, right? In the Catholic Church, right, you know they go to, I think it's like for the first, well, I can't remember how long it was. I remember my friends that were Catholic, they had to go to, it was like Catholic school before regular school, right? They went, so we had to be in school at, I think, what was it, 9, what time school started? 9. So they had to be at Catholic school at 8 though, and they would talk about the Bible, they would learn the Bible, learn all what they need to learn, what they then go to school. And they had to do that, I think, from the ages of, what was it, like 8 to like 10 or something like that. I can't remember what that is called. I'm gonna find out and I'm gonna let you know. But that's so why don't we do nothing like that? Why don't we make it an effort? Like why don't we put the importance on knowing what we believe?
But it used to be like that. Like I remember my grandmother, we went to church probably 7 days a week, Sunday school in the morning.
Lived in church.
You lived in church, like revivals and everything. Don't have all the stuff that it used to, that we was raised on, you know. And one thing about it with a family, grandma made everybody come to church. You was in her household, you was coming to church, you know, and that was passed down. You know, the seed was planted. You know, I see a lot of times now, if you don't want to go to church, or the kids don't feel like going to church, or they don't, you know, it's more pro-choice now. You know, it's not something that's, you know, everybody is coming to church. I don't care what you got on. You come as you are, and you coming on. You packed in the car and you coming to church, but it's not like that now.
And I'm gonna say, right. Let's go ahead.
One thing that God requires for us is to love one another. But the devil make it so easy for us to hate one another. You black, white, you short, you tall, you thin, you fat. So, you know, we all hating each other. And that's the biggest thing. That's where the devil have us at. Where God wants us to love each other.
Our flesh is strong. It's strong. But I'm gonna go right back. Real quick. I'm gonna go right. You're right. There was a period of time when, like you said, I don't care what you do the day before, you're gonna be in church the next day, right? Right, and all day, right? You be there all day, right? But you didn't have a choice, right? You was going if you was gonna be under my cover in my house, right? You was gonna follow my God, right? And you're gonna follow my God the way that God tells us that we need to follow Him, right? Now, once again, I get back to where Satan is tactful, right? He makes everything seem that they have to have a choice and whatever. Think about it. Even I was reading one thing where it is that you gotta get permission to discipline your child.
Yeah. That's terrible.
What?
Yeah.
Everything that foundationally is this is why I say when I argue, I don't say argue, when I debate somebody, and when I debate somebody over Christian belief, right, and we just talk about just different disciplines, right? This is why one thing I say, you know why I believe that one reason I believe that Christianity, God is real, right? Why Jesus is Lord, because it's the most attacked thing in the world. It's the most attacked thing in the world, right? And if it weren't real, wouldn't nobody care about it. Would nobody care about it? They just be like, yeah, y'all just crazy. Right? But it's the most attacked thing in the world. Every one of our principles attacked, right? Disciplining our child, attacked, right? Praying, attacked.
Can't do it.
Believing in marriage between man and woman, attacked, right? Look, turning the other cheek, attacked, because the world would say eye for an eye, right? And teach you, oh, if he hit you, you better hit him back. Right? All right. I mean, in which I fall in that same category. If somebody hit my son, I say you better punch him back. Right? Right?
There's a difference between defensive and vicious.
Yeah, it's different. As, and as a child, I mean, I'm kind of setting up a failure because as a child, they don't really know. They said my daddy said I could punch you back. Failure, right? But if Christianity wasn't real, right, nobody would care. But it is the most attacked thing in the world. Yet, as Christians, we are the most laziest religious people in the world. When it is that we know what we know is real, right? I know it. You can't tell me nothing that will make me believe that my God is not real. Yet do I study like an Islamic person studies? No. I do now. But have I? Did I do it from a child? No. Think about it. In the Jewish community, the religion that we sprouted from, right? In order for us to be called men, we have to express our full knowledge of the Torah. Memorize. I gotta memorize the whole Old Testament. Man, I can't even tell you to listen to the name of the Bible in order right now. I got to tell you all of it by memory.
It's powerful.
We are not equipped to go to battle. That's why we keep losing our foot. Yep.
That's one of the biggest things too. All the conspiracy videos and stuff is taking the youth's mind as well. It's stronger than the elders.
Think about it.
Telling the youngest, the youth, like about God and Jesus. The youth will go to their phones and look up on YouTube and see different things on social media and telling them these information, some Islam stuff that has some facts, and they think that's real. And Jesus wasn't white, he was black, so Christianity isn't real because he wasn't white. So America's lying to you type stuff. And
all of that.
That's what makes you switch over to Islam and other stuff. And really, the main source of it is just Christ.
Oh, when I look at when I try to discern how the enemy moves, right? Because I like to pay attention, right? I'm a CTT in the military, so my job is anti-ship missile defense. I deal with numbers on a daily basis, right? And so small details is what I pay attention to. So when it is that I'm studying and really observing how Satan is moving, right? I see how it is that he attacks generations, right? I try to go back in history. Music was the biggest attack for the generations in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, right? Think about disco, cocaine everywhere, all types of sin, lust, homosexual community rose up. 80s, some of the same things. 90s, gangster rap came up, started attacking our personal communities, right? All types of discourse, right? Today's society, right? Social media.
Yes, big.
The internet, what we have on us 98% of the time. I'm telling you, coming straight from social media, straight from the internet. If we don't acknowledge where the enemy is attacking, we don't know where to go to battle with.
Right.
That's it. That's one reason. That's it. Me and my brother, we working hard to try to make sure that we have a presence on the internet, right? Because we know a lot of us, that's what we do. We on the internet all the time. So we want to make sure they have access to getting the word at all times. Because they sure enough got access to get everything else. Any and everything.
But one thing, sir, our battle is not with flesh and blood. The battle is not with flesh and blood.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
And we have no control over that.
We do not.
It's the gods.
Oh yeah. But what we do have control of is over ourselves.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. We have to. That's why we have to be led. We going right back here. We got to be led by the Spirit, right? So here, once again, Paul, he talks about the people sins, and then the last part of the sins that he mentions are drunkenness and revelry, right? Plain and simple, that's drinking to excess, right? Being drunk, the drunkenness state, right? Once again, think about think about the time, right? Time period where they're at, right? So in Greece, Rome, during that time, during those civilizations, right? Drunken parties, or all those types of public, like drunkenness, right? Was a thing that was happening all the time. So that's why Paul specifically targeted those out, right? And so, but then Paul says, well, that's that. He says, and such like this. He says, envy, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like this, right? So he's saying that your sins are not limited to these things right here. I'm just targeting those ones in this level, right? He said there are a lot of other things that we sin that is committing sin, but specifically I'm going to target these right now. I'm going to target these. He said, such like this, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in the past, they that do such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. What is at risk for us doing these sinful nature? Our eternal life.
Yeah. Going to hell.
Yeah.
Down to hell.
Our going straight down. Right? That is what is at risk. Right? We don't do enough to let people know that the wages of sin are there. I remember growing up in church. It was nothing. It was nothing for me to hear almost every Sunday, right? that if I keep sinning,
Going there.
I'm going straight to hell
Mm-hmm.
with gasoline draws on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Understanding where it is that I don't want to go there. So let me get right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even it's one thing that I notice in a lot of churches nowadays, that no one talks about going to hell. No one talks about the penalty for our sins. When it is that most people don't understand, don't know the consequences for something, they just gonna do what they want to do.
And that's the other part of it. Even if they know the consequences, they're going to do it to ask for forgiveness later.
And look, that's too. That too. So how is it that we are living a life where it is that we can that people know that there's a penalty for my actions. You got the right to do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
Right? God has given us free will, right? Go do whatever you want, but know that there are consequences for some of the things that you do. If I never told my son that there was consequences, he would do whatever he wants, because he would feel like, well, if I do it, what's going to happen? Nothing. Right? So, military, if we don't teach people that there's a penalty for showing up late to work, ain't nobody coming to work. I wouldn't come to work. I wouldn't. Right? If there was no penalty, I don't want to be there every day. But I go because there's a penalty if I don't go.
Right.
Matter of fact, penalty consequences will motivate people more than money. Because I get paid decent money, but the fear of the consequence is worth more than me going to get this paycheck. I don't think I'm alone in that. Most people, if they are fearful of something, they won't do it just because of it. Right? Think about it. Even as a child, when somebody told you that this is hot, until you really found out that it was hot, right?
Hot.
you touched it, right? It was the consequence that they were afraid of, not your threat.
Right.
Or not you telling them about it. It was them actually knowing that there's a consequence. As Christians, that's one thing that we have to remind people of. I'm not gonna say that I gotta tell people every day, hey bro, you going straight to hell for what you're doing right. I don't need to hear that right every day, right? Because the Spirit convicts, right? But we not doing enough of understanding that there is a heaven and a hell, and one day we gonna go to one of these places, and if you have not, it is your choice of where you want to go.
Is the place called Purgatory real?
Catholic Church, yeah, Purgatory, right? And I think they look at that as like Abraham's bosom, right? Which is like a place before heaven, right? Yeah, no,
You sit there before the rapture, and then everybody go when the rapture comes.
But the Bible says to be absent from the body, be present with the Lord.
Period.
Period.
It didn't say about that midway point.
Yeah. There ain't nothing else. That's it. Yeah. That's it.
Back to what you were saying about consequences. I should have raised my hand. I grew up in Danville, Virginia. Never met a black Catholic until I joined the military. So I joined the military, and I'm talking to this kid, and he's saying, every other word is a curse word, and this, that, and the other. He talked about how he liked to do this and do that, and then he said, but I'm going to Mass on Sunday.
All that.
Like, the things you're talking about, I'd almost be ashamed to go to church. I know the Bible says, come as you are. But I mean, And then he said, all I gotta do is go to confession. Oh, really? So do what you want Monday through Sunday.
He said, bust it wide open.
Or Monday through Saturday. Go get behind the curtain
Right.
and say, Father, forgive me for I've sinned. I won't do
Good.
it again, and roll on.
Right.
Walk out of church and go straight to the bar and start all over. Blew my mind. I was
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
I always question that religion because of that, because it's like, what's the purpose?
Yeah, why do I need to tell
Yeah.
this guy my
Exactly.
sin? What can he do for my sin?
Is America built off the back of Catholicism?
No.
It was built off of Christianity. Didn't it come from England?
No, so when they left England, right? So picture that. So boom. When they left England, they were fleeing because of the persecution that they were falling under, because they did not want to be under Catholic
Oh,
control.
so it was a religion? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, the first
That's
pilgrims.
most
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
reason why
first
a lot of
pilgrims.
people came to America.
Yeah, they did not want to be under Catholic control. They was adding Protestant Reformation, all types of stuff. Right.
There's a hand over there. You can't see it.
Oh. Go ahead. I'm gonna call you right. Okay.
I think about our children that are coming up in today's time, and it's such an attack on kids now that I be like, Lord, what is going on? Children are not. Some of the children not doing anything to anybody because they a little bit younger. But then you have the other ones that are in their teens. But we're losing our children so much. I be like, Lord, please help us find a way to help these kids. When we were coming up, everybody could whip us, it didn't matter what. But you were straightened up.
Oh, neighborhood, right?
Now, the state is saying you can't beat your child or you going to jail, and then they use that as an excuse. But we need some way to find out how we can help these children. I'm thankful that the Enoch Baptist Church has programs that help the kids, but the ones that we can't reach, and I guess that's why Pastor say, go ye therefore.
Yeah. I say that's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We really need to constantly keep our kids in prayer.
Absolutely. 100%. I am a firm believer the reason why our kids are being lost is because it's our fault. We let it happen. Ain't nobody come in our house and tell us that we had to stop making our kids go to church. Ain't nobody come in our house and say we can't teach them how to pray. We let the ball drop. So if we want to have a we can't look like this. We can't look for institutional wise to try to help our kids. We have to help our kids. We have to instill those things. But listen, the Bible said, train up a child in the way that they should go. Right? If we are not teaching our kids foundationally, what one thing I stopped doing with my son was, hey, you better say thank you for them for whatever. I like say, no, don't thank me. Thank God for giving me the money so that I can do it. Right? So stop. So it was like I was, as the parent, it was like I was his God. But no, I need to establish God in me. Then that's where your blessings come from.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
It's our fault, right? The reason our kids are out there acting all types of crazy, right, is because we have not established the foundation that they need to be standing on. Right? And it's like too few of us, and it's not saying that we all ain't doing it, right? But it's so few of us that's doing it that it's being overshadowed by all the ones who ain't doing it. Right. So we as a community, that's why I love this church. Like you said, our outreach, right? Going out there and we teaching the men how to tie the neckties, right? Teaching young men how to pray. That is so important. That how to, if I can teach Joshua, I feel like so I'm a musician, right? So I do quite a few different things, right? But But I have come to the conclusion that if I can teach Joshua how to pray and how to worship, I have done my job.
Amen.
Everything else will fall in place. But if I can teach you how to pray and how to worship, that's it. That's all you need. That's all you need.
Amen.
Yeah,
That should come.
And your days will stretch long. Your days will be longer if you just know how to praise God, and you know how to pray and talk to Him.
Amen. Amen.
That's it. Paul here in Galatians is talking about how we should allow the Spirit to change what naturally occurs in our life. Right? The reason our children are going crazy is not because something unnatural is happening, right? They are just resorting to what their flesh would naturally want to do.
Right.
But that's because we are not establishing the spirit that needs to be in them.
Right.
We have to give them that knowledge. We have to set up that foundation so they know to do it. And then once again, Paul, he said the fruit of the Spirit, right? That's the next verse he goes to. And notice one thing he says. I want to target something. He says, in King James Version, if you look in your Bible, it says the fruit of the Spirit, not fruits of the Spirit. As in, everything else comes after this one thing. He said, if you teach them Christ's love, everything else, peace will come from your love. Joy will come from love. Long suffering, right? Being able to endure, right, will come from love, right? All these things, right? If we allow the Spirit to transform us, that all the things of the flesh will fall aside. Now, it ain't gonna happen overnight. Don't let the world try to make you believe it's supposed to happen overnight. Nothing happens overnight. But through my life, there will be a change. I will not manifest myself in sin. I will strive to be glorified. Right? That's what Christianity is. That is what Paul is writing to the church, to the people and the churches in Galatians. That's what he is writing. That is what he's trying to teach them, that this is what separates us from the world. Right now, the world doesn't see a separation, so that's why they ain't coming. Right? But when it is that they see a separation, when they see what they've been looking for, because the world just wants somebody to love them. That's why the lesbian, the LGBTQ, that community, right, is moving so much, because they see that all they're trying to do is love. But that's not their calling. That's our calling. Our purpose is to love one another. All right? All right, that's 8 o'clock. I don't got nothing else. All right. Y'all have a good night. Thank y'all for bearing with us.